Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to review the latest episode of The Flash. This episode was called Timeless, and of course it's a continuation of what's been going on so far this season. The Monster Lady, I've been calling her the Monster Lady, apparently her name is Alexa. No idea how I can't remember that since I have one, and people talk about her all the time. Anyway, her name is Alexa. She's dead, just as we thought, after she was attacked by the Nora/Speed Force character in the previous episode. Interestingly, after we see this is where they flash the opening title blur, you know, where you see all the that's the flash and all the faces come up. Frost is still in there. Now, I don't mean Caitlin, I mean Frost is still in the opening title blur. So it says to me they haven't finished with that character yet, which I would be very glad for. So it remains to be seen still, but she's still in the title blur, and I thought that was interesting. Anyway, Barry very soon reasons, I shouldn't even say reason, because he didn't use reason to come to this view. Barry soon decides that what they have to do is go back in time and unmake the forces, prevent them from being made, the fear force, the still force, etc. And I'm just thinking, be one Barry to another, no. Don't do this. You know what happens to the timeline when you go back in time. You already screwed everybody once. Don't do this. And Iris is like, no, we can't do that. And she gives him an even better reason. Well, I don't know if it's better. It's an equally good reason, which is you can't just unmake these forces because it will affect people. The forces have inhabited humans. And there's going to be an effect on them when you do this. And we don't really know what that's going to be, and it's just a bad idea. And I was like, yeah, Iris is right, but Barry does not listen. He plows ahead, and he recruits Timeless Wells to help him. And I had to sigh a little bit because, of course, the news has come out that Tom Cavanaugh is leaving the show, which I wondered about when they killed off all the Welleses before and had him go off to live his own Wells life as a timeless being or whatever he is. But apparently that's what's happening. He's not going to be on the show anymore, which is kind of a bummer because I always liked the different Welleses over the years. Anyway, he recruits Timeless Wells to help him, and what they're going to do is they're going to go back in time and try to collect all of the force particles from the beam that went out of Star Labs when the Speed Force was created. They're going to collect the Still Force, the Fear Force, and whatever the other one is. I forget, the Angry, Evil, Strength Force, whatever it is. But while they're putting everything together, I don't know how the Still Force guy, Dion, got wind of it, you know, that Cisco and I guess Chester dealt with in the past. But he shows up, and there's a confrontation. And I think the actor that plays this part did a really good job in this episode because he scared the crap out of me. Like, he just was playing this character as a pissed off individual and an individual that did not want them to do what they were doing and who was not going to take it lightly. And he lays that out for them in no uncertain terms in a very intimidating way. So he scared the crap out of me, and that's a sign of a good actor who makes you believe that, yeah, he really is that pissed, and yeah, he really will hurt you. So I thought he did a really good job in that scene. And Nora, of course, is planning on killing him because she wants to kill him and Psyche, and she already killed Alexa. She wants to wipe these forces out. And I hope that doesn't happen because I'd like to see this character more as a villain or whatever in these episodes. Even if he's just somebody who kind of gums up the works and isn't really a villain, he's very scary. I think that's a good thing. But he ends up frying the collector thing that they were going to use to, or the thing Barry was going to wear on his chest to house the collector thing. So it throws a wrench in the works. And I was like, yes, because that's a dumb plan. They need to do something else. What I want to know is what summoned him there. Like I said a minute ago, he seems to kind of become aware that they're doing this, but we don't really know how that occurred. But anyway, after that, Team Flash kind of, because Iris left, she's like, no, I'm not going to help you do this. Cisco and Wells and Chester are kind of like, you know what? He had a point, Dion. We really shouldn't be doing this. And Cisco even walks off. Nope, I'm not doing this. It's just wrong. So Barry turns to Joe for advice, as he always did, which is great. And Joe basically tells him, yeah, they're all right. You can't do this. You need to think of yourself as a father. You created these forces, you and Iris, when you created the new Speed Force, and they're basically your children in a way. And you have to sort of not deal with them for the way they are, but deal with them in what you hope they will become. And I didn't think it made a whole lot of sense, but Barry sort of hears him and goes, yeah, whatever, but I'm still doing it. So it's just weird because everyone in this episode was right except Barry. Like a lot of times there'll be a conflict where a couple of people think this and a couple of people think that, but no, they all thought one thing and he thought another thing and he was wrong. And it's like, he's the hero. It's his show. I don't know. It was a weird thing, I thought. Anyway, turns out that when Iris left, she's like, I'm going to go find Nora and talk her down and prove to Barry that we don't have to go back in time and do this, that we can talk to all of them. The remaining three, Nora, Psych, and Dion, and get them not to be evil, not to hurt anybody, whatever. But she ends up not finding Nora. She finds Psych, which is not good because he is also scary. The thing is, you don't get to see his face, so it doesn't come across quite as scary to me. With Dion, you could see the actor's face and his eyes, and it was very, very convincing as a pissed off, dangerous person. With Psych, you get a sense that he's very dangerous because of the things he says and the way he sort of moves, but you don't get to see his face, so it's not the same thing. But anyway, he's scary as well, and he tries to scare Iris, but it ultimately doesn't work. She ends up breaking out of the nightmare, of course. But at this point, it's 45 minutes in, and we still haven't seen the Flash in the suit. And these shows have been doing this lately, where they don't put the hero in the frickin' suit to do hero things. That's why we watch the show. We want to see the hero in the suit doing stuff. But at this point, at least, Cisco came back and said, you know what? I'm going to help you do this. Which again was a sigh moment because, of course, the news also broke that Carlos Valdez, who plays Cisco, is leaving the show after season 7. So, I don't know, that was kind of a bittersweet thing to see him come back and, you know, I have your back, even if I don't agree with you, when we know he's leaving the show. Anyway, Barry does go back in time with the help of Timeless Wells, who takes him back in a time bubble. It wasn't a speed thing that he used to go back in time, which I thought was interesting. And he ultimately can't go through with it. He collects the particles in the collector and is about to go back to the present, having unmade the forces, but the Speed Force energy reacts really badly, and the forces energy, the energy of all the forces is still somehow in there, and they're doing a thing, and they're sort of behaving as violent energies, and Barry realizes he can't do it. He can't actually unmake these forces and prevent them from coming into being. So he smashes the collector and all the particles go back into the stream and things go back to normal. He goes back to the present, having not unmade the forces. Now, when this happens and he gets back, he's almost immediately alerted to the fact, well, there's a big rumble that occurs, like that, like an earthquake kind of thing, or like an depression, and they go into the lab and they find Caitlin over Alexa saying, that big rumble happened, and she sat up awake for a second and then laid back down. And there's a little bit of a conversation like, is she alive? Is she dead? And the Flash and Iris decide, you know, maybe she's reacting to us because we brought the forces to life to begin with. We brought the Speed Force to life. Maybe it has something to do with us. And they do that thing where they put their hands together like they did before when they created the Speed Force and when they held hands in the episode with Mirror Mistress, and which doesn't go by that name. It's Mirror Monarch. I know, but I refuse to say that. It's Mirror Mistress. Anyway, they do that thing again, and the spark happens, and they touch like her shoes, and the energy wave courses over her, and lo and behold, she comes back to life. They resurrect this woman who had been dead, like not only mostly dead, but all dead. And she comes back, which was pretty cool because you don't want it to be that she stays dead, because that kind of becomes the thing where Barry can say, if I had zigged instead of zagged, maybe she wouldn't be dead, and it's partly my fault. Now he doesn't have to deal with that. She's back to life, so that's good. But it's a little cringy because they call it, it's like the spark of love thing. The spark of love did it. Whatever. So Wells takes his leave from Team Flash, and he says goodbye to Cisco individually, which is cool because the Wells character, whichever Wells it was at any one point, always sort of conflicted with Cisco. Like they busted each other's chops about, their methodologies and their way they see things in terms of scientific theory. But really, they really do like each other and respect each other. So they had a good scene where Wells basically says, if I've taught you a bunch of stuff, that's cool, but you've taught me at least as much stuff as I taught you, and I really appreciate you. And he leaves, and you just know you're never going to see that character again because, once again, Tom Cavanaugh is leaving, so it was kind of emotional. But anyway, they didn't stop there. The next thing that happens is Cisco's girlfriend comes over, and she's like, I've got something to tell you. I think I need to leave Central City. And he says to her at the very same time, I think I need to tell you something. I think I need to leave Central City. So they say it in stereo. And so now we know that Cisco is leaving the show in the show, not only from the news. So they don't give any details at that point because it's kind of the end of the episode. We're going to see what that means. Next week, we'll probably get some kind of timeline about when he's going to do that. I mean, he names all the bad guys. How can he leave the show? Anyway. From there, they cut to a scene of Nora confronting Dion. And Dion actually looked a little scared here, which was kind of chilling. But she has obviously begun her plan to kill the remaining two sources. She obviously isn't going to kill herself. And she's already killed Alex, so she thinks. Now she's going to try to kill Dion and Psyche. So that's in the offing next week. But we didn't get Barry in the suit at all this episode. At all. They end the episode, no Barry in the suit, no Flash. I don't even think he super speed ran at any point in time. Very disappointing. I watched these, put something in there. Have him rescue a cat out of a tree at the beginning. Can we just, it's a superhero show. And they've gotten to this position where they're doing the ensemble cast thing, and in some ways it's really cool on all of these shows, but in some ways it gums up everything, and the show ends up being about the ensemble and not the hero. And I want to see the hero. It's called The Flash. I want to see the Flash in the suit running around and doing stuff at least once an episode. So hopefully they're not going to repeat this thing where they don't have him in the suit, but we're going to have to see. Now, Tom Cavanaugh and Carlos Valdez leaving the show is not the only news that's come up about Flash in recent days, and it's not the only cast member might be leaving news, or is leaving. Well, it's not the only news about a cast member leaving the show, because they're saying now that Grant Gustin might leave the show after season 8. This is season 7. He signed for season 8, but they're saying that they think maybe he's thinking of leaving after season 8. Now, this assumes there's going to be a season 9. We don't know. None of the Arrowverse shows have been on that long. Arrow was the oldest one. It ended after 8 seasons. So who knows? Maybe there won't be a show anyway. But the thinking is that he might not be in it. If there is, now, how would they do that? The show is called The Flash. Well, they did it in the comics. Someone took over. Wally West took over for him in the comics and became The Flash. I don't think that's going to happen, because I don't think the actor who plays the Flash on the CW, or who plays Kid Flash rather on the CW, is interested. And I'm basing it on the fact that he left the Arrowverse, right? He's just not on anymore. So obviously he's not into it. I don't think they're going to go that way. The thing is, they are bringing XS back, who of course is their daughter, Iris and Barry's daughter. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they are doing it. There are set photos of her on the set in the suit. At least she's wearing the suit. So there's some speculation that she could take over and be the Flash, but it would be a girl Flash, which they have done as well. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But they're bringing back Godspeed as well, just so you know. Of course, they're not going to give the show to Godspeed, but he's coming back. He's in the set pictures that have just come out. They're bringing Impulse in. Impulse, of course, is a descendant of Barry and Iris's from the future. And I think in the comics, he also becomes the Flash at some point. I'm not 100% sure. But they could make him the Flash and the title character of the show going forward. He hasn't been seen on film yet in an episode, so we don't know if that's in any way a viable thing, but it's a speculation that is open to them, and who knows. But that's the sort of rumor at this point, is that that Grant is going to leave after season 8, and that maybe they're going to give the show to this kid who's going to be playing Impulse, or the woman who plays XS. Who knows? It's a while away, but just remember, you heard it here first, or probably fourth. But anyway, you heard it here, as well as wherever else you might have heard it. That's it for my review of this episode and my little bit of Flash news there. I will be back, of course, next week with a review of next week's episode. Until then, I take my leave, and I say, as always, peace and long life.